Sounds so good.
Yeah, buddy.
And we're back.
Are you gonna lead us in, or?
Oh yeah, I was just waiting.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Josh Line Team podcast, brought to you by the Josh Line Team
and Velocity Lending.
That's right.
Yeah, buddy.
Hope you guys are having a good day. We have a special guest today, a very, very special guest, who I'm already blanking your name in, and I am so sorry about that.
Jeff Morris.
Jeff Morris. How are you, my man?
I'm doing good. It's Jeff
tell.
Morris from JM Exteriors.
That's right. As you can tell, I'm really bad at remembering names, so I'm sorry
That's
about
all
that.
right.
It's
I
all
don't
good.
Know I don't know your name right now.
That's right. My name is G, and with
Okay,
me
good.
we have Dakota, the sexy man Burke, and I think his name is John. John.
We'll go with that.
John Kitty Cat.
We'll go with it.
Josh Line with us as well. Yeah, it was going to be a special episode. We're going to talk a little bit more about, what you do for a living and how that can affect even buying a home. So what is it that you do? What does exteriors mean?
Primarily, we do roofing.
Okay.
We do a lot of exteriors. We do windows, siding, everything that comes with a project. A lot of times, obviously, as roofers, we're doing storm damage. So there's storm that's come through. It impacts the whole house. But I would say lenders and realtors are most commonly affected by the price tag of the roof.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I don't think you really think about like roofing when it comes to like lending or like real estate immediately, right? That should be a priority. Absolutely. Now,
How did a roof over your head?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. How did you end up meeting Josh?
I'm pretty sure we met at a UFC event, watching some guys fight.
Yeah, it was really good. It was another lender's house, and I mean, we don't need to talk about him, but he's a good dude. But yeah, we met, and Jeff and I started chatting, and basically we kind of hit it off. I feel like we have a lot in common in regards to business and being hungry and want to do what's best for our clients, and just hustling. So we kind of just connected with that, and he's a great dude, and we become buddies since, and we refer anybody and everybody to him who needs a roof, including myself. So
yeah, we looked at some roofs for you.
Yeah. So he's
some problems.
does a great job and is very knowledgeable. And it's very important, obviously, when you're buying a home, to make sure the roof is in good repair. So
there's
instances where I'll let
roof.
you inspect it, and I'll let you chat about like what happens, I guess.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, you get your air conditioning and your furnace inspected on an annual basis and things like that. But if water comes into your house, it can do a lot more damage than if your hot water heater breaks and you're cold for a little while or have to take a cold shower. I've seen people do $100,000 worth of damage with a solid leak.
Sheesh.
And so,
Jeez.
it's just important to look at it on a regular basis. And then obviously with a real estate transaction, nobody wants to lend on a property that's, going to have a substantial problem in the near future.
Right. And I mean, we've had instances where the appraiser's gone out and be like, hey, we can't close on this house because the roof isn't up to standard. So we have to get the roof completed before, and Jeff can come in and you'll get that done in, 2 or 3 days or a week or whatever. And what's awesome is he does this all the time where he can be like, okay, this project is obviously going to be number one, so we can get this done and they can close on their house, and, gets his team over there and gets it taken care of so we can not miss closings.
Nice. That's awesome. Now, how long have you been in the area for?
I moved to Colorado in 2007, so
Nice.
I've been here for a little while.
Where are you coming from?
Washington State.
Washington State.
Yeah, I lived in the middle of Washington on the east side of the Cascades, a little town called Wenatchee.
That's probably the best part to live in Washington, to be quite honest with you. Maybe. I don't know. I guess you've lived there, but
Have you
I'm
been?
just not a big fan of Seattle myself, but
I love Seattle. I couldn't live there.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's
same.
where I go back to visit. I usually don't go home. I'm like, hey, I'm going to Seattle. You guys come
If you
across the
want.
mountains if you want.
no, for sure. Absolutely. Now, okay. So, I mean, what are some of the things that I guess you can recommend to people who are looking into buying a house and things they could probably maybe get red flags immediately before actually looking about it?
Well, just have a roofer look at it, maybe at the same time the inspector looks at it. Because what's really common is people call me and they're like, hey, our inspection resolution deadline is tomorrow. Do you think you could come out today? And I'm willing to be flexible.
Wait, that happens to you too? That's crazy.
It is 4 p.m.
Yeah.
It's going to get dark in about 45 minutes.
And there's
but-
snow on the roof, so no big deal. Just pretend you can see what's going on. So if people would just think about it, I mean, real estate agents, I mean, you can do a little due diligence and figure out that the roof's probably 20 years old, we should probably be looking at it pretty fast.
Yeah.
And our reports have a lot of photographs in them. So whether you have experience with roofing or you have any idea what flashing details you're looking at, they're explained with photos so the buyer and the seller can kind of grasp what's going on.
Interesting. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
And because you guys really, I mean, you just work for on the roof, and you said you do some siding and that sort of thing. So you guys check that out as well for people if they need to, or mostly just the roofs?
Yeah. I mean, I tend to get the call for the roof because it's the big ticket item.
Right. Yeah.
If in fact we're going to do a real estate, the transaction is going to cause us to file a claim, then we're obviously going to look at the whole property at that point. Mm-hmm. But most people are just stressed out about that big ticket item. And we have financing, which has come in really handy in the last year.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people are just not prepared to figure it out. And so we can, put things in escrow. There's all kinds of creative ways we can help people sort it out.
What would you say is the average cost of getting a roof repaired?
So it's going to be pretty much averaging over $20,000 at this point. Yeah, because I got a call yesterday. Our materials costs are going up substantially as of the 11th. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they've kind of held back on our materials increases a little bit in the roofing industry. And now we're kind of taking our first big hit. And I think people are going to be a little shocked because I remember doing a roof for like $5,000 or $6,000. And it's like, I can't even buy the materials for that on a small project.
This might be like a very stupid question, but that's like what I'm known for. Absolutely.
That's accurate.
How?
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
How important is it to have like a good roof? I know it sounds like really stupid, right? Like, because I feel like when you think of a house, especially someone who has never owned a home, you just think of like the house as a whole, and not necessarily like in like sections. Like, oh, look, the foundation is actually as important as like having like the cider. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, like what would it be like?
Yeah, I would say that obviously, because water can do so much damage, water always wins, right? And water's more likely to come through the roof than the side of the house or whatever. But the other thing is a quality roof. I mean, you're going to save on insurance. Class 4 products get you a pretty big insurance discount. Mm-hmm. And then if you do have a Class 4 roof with actual SBS in it, so it has some self-healing properties and it actually will survive a hailstorm.
Yeah.
You're likely to skip quite a few deductibles because we have a lot of like 0.75 inch or 1 inch hailstorms that happen all the time.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to replace a roof. Like,
especially here.
Yeah. 1.5, 1.75, you're pretty much always replacing at that size.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, that's like the little things right now where I'm just like, I'm so glad I don't own a home. But at the same time, it's like, not saying that I don't want to, but that's crazy. I didn't even think about that really.
But that's also why you kind of want a professional like Jeff to be able to come and take a look at your roof. If it, let's say it does hail, and it hasn't, luckily for the last couple of years, we were kind of talking about that before the podcast, but it's always good to have somebody and have somebody's name to come over and be like, hey, it hailed and I'm, I just need it looked at, just in case, even if I've done all of my due diligence and I've gotten the roof that I needed so that I don't have to do repairs on those small hailstorms. It's just like, let's just take a look at it just in case so that those big damages don't happen.
Well, and every single roof leaks. Like people think that their roof doesn't leak. They all leak, right? And so they all have...
Wait. They do?
It's news to me.
I did not know this.
Water passes into every roof somewhere. And if your ventilation is correct, your attic is exchanging that air and keeping the humidity out, and it's just drying out.
Yeah.
Right? So like there's little
Science.
parts on every roof that leak. I get up on and I'm like, well, I can tell it's leaking there, but it's not leaking much. And I'll solve it, but there's always going to be water coming in. But as long as you have about 6 exchanges an hour, you're going to dry all that out.
Yeah.
We live in a dry climate, so it helps.
My question, I guess, is what's the percentage wise, if you can give this to us, of when you're replacing roofs that are covered by your insurance? I know you're going to have your deductibles and whatnot, but because you were talking about, putting payment plans together. Mm-hmm. So what does that kind of look like?
Yeah, I would say it really depends on how people make decisions. So if your insurance agent asks you to have a reputable roofer look at it in advance, usually we're giving you good advice and you're not filing what's called a zero claim. So a claim that doesn't get paid because there wasn't a storm that was like timely for the policy, or maybe there wasn't enough damage because people are like, oh, my neighbor got a new roof, so I get a new roof. And you might have completely different roofing materials. And so I would say when I get called out, it's probably 80 or 90% if they filed a claim that we're going to get it bought.
Gotcha.
But the differential is just people that don't know. Maybe they file a claim and they just really shouldn't have filed a claim. And we're seeing a lot of that now because we don't have the storm dates right now in Fort Collins. 2019 was the last real storm. And so all the people that call me up in Fort Collins are like, yeah, we filed a claim. It's like, we'll see how this goes. You already filed it, so.
Well, and so that's what I was just going to ask is, so typically how long should people wait to call a roofer after a storm?
Well, you want to call someone as soon as possible because the older roofs, the damage that we have to look for when a hailstone strikes, it shows up as kind of black. Okay. And so we can see it and it's really obvious that it's fresh. Okay. Our sun bleaches stuff out really fast.
Oh.
So if those hail hits are a year old, I can tell because I can see bleached out fiberglass.
That makes sense.
And so I know it can't tell you exactly how old, but I can tell you when it's a year old.
Right.
And so when you have an older roof, let's say it's like 20 years old, a lot of the moisture has been baked out of it. So when it gets hit with something, it doesn't necessarily show up very black anymore. So if you get hit and you have an older roof, you want that looked at really fast because we got to get the adjuster out there to show that it's fresh damage, because one of the really common ways for an adjuster to deny a roof is just say it's wear and tear. Like, I don't see any actual current hailstones, and people, I went out to a roof recently and I looked at the map and they've been hit like 6 times in the last 10 years. And I'm like, that's a lot.
It's probably time, people.
The granulars were gone and it just looked terrible. And it was really hard to determine any fresh hits that we could really identify to help them get it bought.
Have you ever fallen off of a roof?
I have not.
That a boy.
I have met people that have fallen off like 2 and 3 times, and I
have.
I slow down.
Multiple, not even just one.
I was going to say follow-up question because I was going to ask this, but I'm terrified of heights. So, like, how do you do that? How do you get up on a roof?
No, listen.
He faces his fears, Dakota.
I get up on my roof and I'm like shaking, and I like uncontrollably, like can't.
I literally
deduce
just
anything.
got off a roof before I came here, and the person who was having me look at the roof had to like leave because they couldn't handle me standing on the roof. It was very uncomfortable for them. But I actually grew up terribly afraid of heights, like really bad. I remember being in
Conquer your fears.
grade school and like crying because we went to the Capitol and went up to the top of the building. I was terrified of heights, but I started roofing and I was like, I'd like to get paid. So figure it out. Otherwise, it's going to be.
I'm going to have to get up there. I'm not getting my paycheck.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, man. We do appreciate it. Now, if anyone wants to reach you, whether it be for looking at a roof to see how they need it repaired, or just they want to have a new one, where can they reach you at?
Yeah, just realistically, just call my cell phone 970-631-6690 because I'll be really responsive to that. And then you can just look me up, JM Exteriors. We're here in Windsor, and we pop on the map listing. Our SEO's okay.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Make sure you guys give them a call if you have any questions about roofing. And if you guys have more questions about how they can help out with even the buying process of your home, make sure you give these guys a call as well. Dakota, where can they reach you at?
They can reach us at 970-460-6677 or our website, www.nocolending.com.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, you messed it up, man.
What a jerk.
Thank you so much again for joining us, my man.
Thanks, buddy.
We do appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time on another episode of the Josh Line Team Podcast, brought to you by Velocity Lending.
See you there.
Bye, Josh's mom.
Bye, moms.
Bye,
We
Lorinda.
didn't even say hi to her. I'm so sorry.
it's horrible.
We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you, guys.